Welcome. This is the BP Productions podcast, where we share life, share stories, and encourage others. I am your host, Bruce Pineda, and I am super excited to be bringing you episode number 2 of season 2 of BP Productions podcast. Again, where we share life, share stories, and encourage others. I think I came in a little bit early on that intro. This is kind of like, again, we're going to be honest. This is like take 2 of this podcast, and the first one was going really well, and then all of a sudden the camera like froze up, and it was just going to cause a bunch of issues editing wise if I didn't stop it right then and there. So I restarted this, and it looks like it's going well. It's like off by a little bit, but anyways, you guys won't see that part. It'll be edited and it'll look better. So yes, this is BP Productions podcast, and I'm super excited for the opportunity to be bringing you this episode. Last week's episode, I just want to thank you for all the support and the views that a lot of you guys gave me. It encourages me, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for you guys who listen, and that I can be a help in your life, and I can, be able to be a friend and be an encouragement for you. So I thank you for giving me that opportunity to do that, and I hope and pray that I can continue doing that going forward, for sure. So yes, I wanted to make this season of BP Productions more family oriented. I wanted to be able to include you guys in a lot of things and talk about more of my personal life, and just kind of grow like that and grow genuinely, and so super excited for that. The other thing I shared, or I wanted to share, is that before I had my other channel, Bruce Pineda, it was just my main channel, and I posted a lot of stuff on there, vlogs, old videos, singing videos, songs that I wrote. So if you guys ever want to check that out, I can probably leave a link in the description if you wanted to look at that stuff. But anyways, what I was explaining in the first take of the podcast was that I had this app called Fiverr, and I don't know if you know what that is, but basically it's people online all over the world that specialize in certain things, whether it's marketing, whether it's creating content. It's a lot of social media stuff. And so at one point I wanted to grow that channel, and I guess I was just in a super rush, and I paid a guy like $200 and something to genuinely, as I was told, genuinely market my content. And that was not the case, because it like grew overnight to like 1,000 something subscribers, which ended up all being basically robots. And it's really messed up that channel. I was able to monetize that channel, but nothing came out of it, because, you can't work off of those robots. So that was on me. Basically, I didn't want that. I wanted to grow it genuinely, but I thought that was some sort of marketing. Well, I was wrong about that. So we move forward, we move on. And that comes to my point here, is that this podcast, I want to grow it genuinely. I want to grow it in the right way. And that starts with you guys and being able to be open and honest. And so here we are, and here we go, right? Announcements. This will only be found on youtube.com. Why? Because I, again, want to grow this genuinely. I'm not interested in exploring other podcast platforms at the moment, because it's just, again, I want to grow this. So here we are with that. So we're going to start, guys, with the recap of the week. And I did this last week, and I think it really kind of drove the conversation. I don't have a guest here today, so it's just you and I, but it helped me, and I hope it helped you to, kind of recap your week and be able to explore and dive into, your own life, and also my life, to kind of just see life at a different perspective. And that's kind of what I wanted to do here. So I started this off with something called the recap of the week. Basically, I found 9 different questions online that reflect off of your last week, and it gets real personal. Ask you personal questions, and with that, I'm gonna go ahead and answer those questions and be able to elaborate and maybe storytell, share life, share stories, encourage others. So here we go. Oh, that's another thing, guys. The Cowboys lost. Oh my gosh. If you don't know me, I'm a big Dallas Cowboy fan. I know I'm getting off topic here before we even start, but after I said here we go, Yeah, we lost out of the first round of the playoffs to a 7th seed team, and that was super heartbreaking because I'm passionate about my Dallas Cowboys, and we lost. So that's a bummer. But we're on happy thoughts today. We're on happy thoughts at this moment. So let's get this going. So, recap of the week, season 2, episode 2. The first question: what did I accomplish this week? And this question really, all these questions had me thinking for a while, right? But with this first question, I started to think, okay, what did I accomplish this week, right? What was something that I accomplished? And I started to think of that. Okay, what was something I overcame? What was something that I achieved on? But I took that question in a different context, right? And I answered it by saying facing reality. I accomplished recognizing what the reality is. And that reality was that I had a really hard week. And my boss had reached out to me. We do basically weekly recaps. And he reached for my Skyhawks, for my coaching job. And he reached out to me, just asked me how my week went, what was, what were the ups, what were the downs, get to share. Just because I'm my position, it allows me to go to different areas and be in different places and, be a part of those programs and those sessions. And with that, I get to, evaluate and, share my thoughts, share my ideas. So anyways, we do that about every week. And I was able to do that this week. And I told him the truth. I said that it was just a difficult week for me. I don't know whether that was because we just came out of the break and now we're just trying to get into the mix of things. But there were different things that I had to look at myself, and I realized that I kind of felt lackluster. I wasn't planning as hard as I should. I wasn't following my, I hold myself to a really high standard when it comes to coaching, right? Because you have an opportunity with these kids to build them up, to be an impact, and to make an impact on their life. And I felt like I hate saying it, but I didn't feel like I did that this week, or that maybe it just felt lackluster, and I didn't want to feel like that, right? So it just didn't feel right. I try to be a good coach. I try to be a great coach, but it didn't feel that way this week. And so when I say facing reality, I mean that I'm recognizing these things and I'm able to evaluate that and say, okay, that's not good. How do I fix this? How can I overcome this? And so I wrote a couple things down. I said, recover. I tend to go all in on a lot of things, and I burn myself out real quick. And I've done that a lot, and it's not beneficial. Sometimes it is. You get to do that extra push, but sometimes you just gotta take a step back, recover, and go back to the main things. Go back to your main principles, right? And I felt like I needed to do that. Become a better planner. I also wrote that now that I'm faced this reality of, hey, I didn't have a good week, and I know that I could be better myself in different aspects. So how would I fix that, right? And I said I want to make a planner, and I want to follow that plan. And maybe that's just a little plan on my phone that I have. I want to be able to do that and follow that plan and be able to be proactive, not just reactive, in my mindset, right? So being able to have my mind in the right spot, in the right place, and that's something I struggle with too, because I have the 2 jobs, right? I have the hotel, and then I have my coaching job, Skyhawks. And with those 2, it's totally different mindsets, right? One of them, you're dealing with guests, you're making sure all is good. And then the second one is being able to coach and teach. And so being able to switch that mindset on and off in between, it takes that mindset switch. And I want to be better at doing that because I feel like I haven't necessarily recently. I've kind of just been rolling into my second job, and that's not fair to my company and myself and the kids. And again, I want to be a light for them and an impact for them. So that's something I really want to change. So facing reality, right? That moves us on to, what did I learn this week? What are some lessons that I learned? And I think that time management is super important. I've never been great with time management. At one point, I think I was a little on a streak, back in like middle school, going to, no, I wouldn't say middle school. I would say like going to high school, like early freshman, sophomore year. I would go to school. I would read my Bible a lot in the morning, and then at night. And I was basically on a routine, right? And that really helped me grow in life, grow in my faith. But now that I'm an older adult, 24 years old, so take it as you will, I feel like I can be a lot better at that. I feel like I can plan for what I want to do during the day, and especially when the evening comes, when I get home from work, right? So that's super important. Again, that comes to making a planner and get the most important things done. Just kind of reviewing my notes here, right? So I want to be able to read my Bible more. That's something that I've emphasized a lot, and I have actually, and we'll get into this here in a little bit. But the other day, I just my Bible was sitting there, and I honestly hadn't opened it in a little while, and I opened it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna read, and I opened up to Psalms, which are my favorite book in the Bible, and I just started reading, and man, just the nourishment and the flourishness that my soul and my heart felt afterwards, and just knowing God's peace. There's something that goes on there that is beyond me. So I thank God for that, and that's something that I want to do, right? So that comes in part of time management, right? How am I going to make time for that? Between my two jobs, can I read in the morning? Can I read at night? What is that for you yourself, right? So there's that. And also running, like I want to be able to get back into running. And what I mean by that, basically just exercise, right? So I would say like middle school, going into high school, I was more athletic, and over the years just basically slow down. And I don't want to do that because I want to take care of my health. I want to take care of my body, and I enjoy running. I was talking with somebody, and they reminded me that there's so many benefits to exercising, and I've felt those things, right? Especially after a run. For some of you, it could feel, and at one point me too, right, that you're like, man, how do people do this? This is not fun at all. But I got on the treadmill, and after I ran, I feel great. I feel really good. I feel accomplished, and I feel like, okay, what's the next task? And I think that mindset really comes after the first few runs and after that satisfaction, right? So time management, again, how am I going to incorporate that into my week? How am I going to build on that? That was something. So what day was my favorite? That's a great question too. What was my favorite day of the week? And a couple days ago, and I'm not sure who's going to be watching this, but basically I was at my mom's house, and I went over just to watch one of the playoff games for the NFL with my sister. And while we're watching the game and all that, the time passed, the night passed, but I was going to be able to head out and go back home. And then my dad called. And for those of you who don't know, my dad and my mom, they're split. That's a bummer. But anyways, they split, and they do talk often, but, that there's still that thing in myself that, I miss my parents being together, and I miss seeing them talk and being able to, just communicate and things like that, on a good level. And so when I was about to leave that night, my dad had called me, and before I was leaving, actually, we were about to pray, just to end the night, right? And I was going to go home. My mom was going to go to bed, and my sisters were going to end the night and all that. So my dad had called, and we welcomed him into prayer. We said, all right, Dad, you want to pray with us? And he did. I prayed with my family. And then after that, like my mom, my dad just started talking like on the speakerphone. And this lasted for like almost 2 hours. And I was like, wow. I was like, how did this even happen? But they just kept on going on about different stories from the past and reminiscing about movies and their favorite shows, and do you remember this? Do you remember that? And I started chipping in, and my little sister, was able to hear on this conversation, and it was just a really good moment. And that, I would say, would be my favorite day of the week, just because I got to see my parents communicate and talk to each other and just go down memory lane. I really, really like that. So That was really fun. So that was my favorite day of the week. I would recap that. The next thing is how did I take time for myself, right? So I think that ties into running and reading my Bible, right? So I did that yesterday, and that's the first time I started running yesterday. I've always been on these little things like start something and then you get burned out and you don't finish it, right? I think we're all guilty of that in some fashion. But I started pacing myself. So like I'm trying to do like at least 2 miles every day, either running, full on go, or walking the last mile or walking the first mile. I just don't want to burn myself out, right? My muscles are super tight, and I got to make sure to stretch and of course eat right, drink plenty of water. So that's something I did for myself yesterday, and I followed that with the same thing today, and reading my Bible, right? So again, last week I was able to find some time at night where I was like, all right, I'm gonna open my Bible, I'm gonna read the Psalms, I'm gonna hear the Word of God, and it's gonna grow my heart. And I want to continue on that path. I really do, because it's gonna change my mindset, it's gonna change my heart, and for those of you who do know the Lord, it really makes an impact on your life like no other. So I'm really excited to be pursuing that, and I pray that you're encouraged by that, and for myself that you can encourage me too to keep on pursuing that, right? We can help each other out. Definitely. Most grateful for this week. What am I most grateful for this week? This question, I started thinking, right? I started going down on the list, and I was like, what am I most grateful for this week? What was one thing that stood out? And I wouldn't say nothing. I wouldn't really say anything that really stood out completely, but rather the word opportunity came to my mind, right? And I was like, opportunity. I have a lot of opportunity, whether I know it or not. Even though my schedule is super busy, and even between the two jobs, I find little time throughout the day to do things, especially in the evening, right? That's where my time really opens up. So I can do something about whatever it is, right? Opportunity, right? I can work on this podcast, I can read my Bible, I can definitely go for a 2-mile run, I can do something. So opportunity, right? Being proactive, not just reactive, and that I'm not limited, right? I don't want to limit myself, right? I think sometimes we're guilty of that. I know I have been, where you're like, well, I have this, I have that, and it just sounds like excuses at some point, and I feel like we limit ourselves, but in the truthfulness is that that's all it is, that we're limiting ourselves. But I feel like we can overcome those limits, and we can be able to make time for the most important things that are going to be beneficial to us. So opportunity, right? I think I'm most grateful for that, and I think that next week there's going to be more opportunity, and I pray that I don't waste those opportunities, right? And what I mean by don't waste them, right? I guess just doing the opposite. Everything I do, I want to do something that's beneficial, right? Even that's just resting, relaxing, right? I want to do that, but I also don't want to take it for granted, right? I don't want to take that time for granted. It's good to relax, it's good to rest, but I don't want to take that and abuse it. That's the word I was looking for, right? So yes, that's what I was most grateful for this past week. What do I want to do more of next week? Explore different ideas for this podcast. I've thought about bringing on a guest on here, and I'd really love that, and I really do. And actually, there's this I'm not gonna say it yet, but I have a list of people that I want to bring on here. And as you guys saw from last season, that was super fun. That was super cool to sit down with somebody and just talk about life. Giving them a platform to share their life and share their stories and getting to learn from them. I love that. I think you guys love that too. And so that's something that's definitely on the table. But what are some other ideas, right? I thought about reaction videos. I thought about, again, these recaps of the week. I thought about just different topics, different things that we could do with this podcast. And so although there's definitely a vision, there's definitely a vision, right, of making this more family oriented and being able to stay on that and recapping of the week. There's definitely opportunity to explore different other ideas, and I think we're gonna definitely do that. Again, the guest and talking to you guys. So, yeah, that's something that I want to explore, right? So, we're almost towards the end here, but one of the last things that was on here was um, what do I want to do less of next week, right? So we already covered what I want to do more of next week. The next question is what I want to do less of this upcoming week. And the only thing that came to my mind is worry. 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 Just in case you couldn't understand what I was saying. Worrying, guys. So a couple weeks ago, there's this man. His name is Paul, and he works at the hotel as maintenance. But he's a believer in Christ. He's a really good man, older gentleman. But he said something that really stuck with me the other day. And he wasn't even talking to me. He was having a separate conversation with somebody else. But as I was walking towards my area, I overheard the conversation. And he basically just said this one little sentence saying that if I can't control it, I'm not going to worry about it. And he said it so genuinely. And that stuck with me so much. Because although I've known that and I say I believe it, do I really practice that? Right? Something that comes up in my life, right? Something that comes up in your life, it's easy to worry about so many things, in life. But, as we all know, right? Worrying doesn't add anything to your life. It really doesn't. And so when I heard that, I was like, okay, well, gosh, he's living that out. Whatever situation he was in, he's living it out. And I've seen him live it out. I've never seen this man, in a state of worry. And I really want to be like that, right? I really want to have that mindset. I really want to have that ability to say, okay, if I can control it, I'm not going to worry about it, right? And I want to be able to do that. So that's something that I want to do less of next week is worry, right? I want to know that God's in control, that if I can't control it, then it's not something that I'm going to worry about. And so that's one thing that I want to do less of next week. The other thing that he said too that really stuck with me, and shout out to Paul, is that people come in your life for a reason. He said that he believes that wholeheartedly, right? Because I ended up talking to him. Oops, hold up. Let's pause this for a second. Guys hear the music? Okay, we back. Sorry about the little hiccup there. Again. All right. Shout out to Paul, as I was saying. One of the things he said was that people come into your life for a reason, and he believes that his whole life, because every person that has come into to his life, he's either made an impact on, or they have made an impact on him. And I wanna believe that for myself too. I really do, because you look back on it, right, and you can plant so many seeds in people's lives, but sometimes you never see that growth, and maybe because it's just not time, right? And even people that come into your life that hurt you, right? Maybe you brought in somebody into your life that you really thought they were going to be beneficial to you, but they ended up hurting you, right? But I think that in the bigger picture, in the bigger aspect of it, we knowing that God's in control, that God sees us, and God knows the plans for our lives, we can trust that we were a difference maker, either for that person or that person, whatever that situation was, is going to definitely benefit us in some sort of way. It's either going to make us stronger, it's going to make us a lot smarter, whatever that may be. So I really want to hold on to those two things. One of them, do not worry if I cannot control it. The second one, people come into your life for a reason. And whether that's to impact them or them to impact us, whatever it may be. But let's not go ahead and take that for granted, because it's not. It's true. Okay, how can I improve next week? Again, time management, better in reading my Bible, talk to God more, and set my eyes on His purpose and being a light. And I want you to answer that question for yourself too. What is something that you can do better next week? What's something that you can improve in your life, going forward, right? Today's Monday, today's Martin Luther King Day. And so, my week technically starts tomorrow. It's started now, really, right? But what's one thing going forward that you can improve? And those are just some of the things that I want to really do. And so I kind of want you to make a list too. And if you may, just share it in the comments. Share your thoughts. I want to talk to you guys. I want to hear from you guys. So that would be really cool if you do. And the last thing, guys, just to wrap up here, what am I looking forward to this week? And I know I updated you guys last week on it, but that I'm looking forward to seeing my crush. Who is my crush? Well, it's this girl at the hotel that I work at. She's one of the housekeepers there. And again, I don't know if she's ever going to watch this, but she'll most likely know that I'm talking about her if she were to watch this. Anyways, I'm looking forward to seeing her, just to get to know her. And seeing the kids, I love seeing the kids at Skyhawks. I enjoy seeing them, each and every one of them. They're super sweet, and they make my day a lot brighter. I always say you could be having the worst day, but the minute you go into Skyhawks, and these kids run up to you and give you a hug and call out your name, it makes a super difference in your heart and in your life. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to running, getting more healthier, reading my Bible, and possibly writing. I used to write a lot, and kind of to go back on the old videos that I had on just the Bruce Pineda channel, is that I wrote a few songs in there. And talking to someone this week, I reflected back on that, and it was fun. All those songs were from the heart, and they were for a person, but they still fit well today about my heart and what I was feeling back then. And so that's something that maybe I'll pursue and, possibly do again. But guys, I love you. I thank you for this opportunity that you've given me to share my life, share my story, and I encourage you. And I pray that you're able to do that to somebody else. And again, that I just am able to be a light in your life. And I pray that your life and other people's lives, and that this just, grows and see what God does with it. But I love you. Take care. And I'll see you guys on the next podcast. Again, this has been season 2, episode number 2 of BP Productions podcast. Love you guys. I'll see you later. Bye.